Let's see. Would-be's, how many times have we spent mixing a song, send it to a peer, and they said it needs this and it needs that, but you play the CD for 5 people, and they say, wow, that sounds good. Yep, welcome to mixing.
Yep.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, there is no perfect mix. It's so subjective when we say, good mix. I mean, even our mixing contest that me and Pete judge every month, it's subjective. All the mixes are in that they're pretty darn, some cases are really, really close. I mean, they're real close. Yeah. And then sometimes, Pete and I agree, and sometimes we argue about it for 15 minutes on whose we liked better. It's very subjective. And so, yeah, that happens. And that's where you gotta, Randall mentioned it. That's where you as the engineer or you as the client in the end, if you have to get to the point where you're kind of feeling the music and then you're in the ballpark, does that mean everyone's going to like your mix? Nope. But correct. You could do that too, right? You could take 5 commercial releases, any genre of music, any decade, put 5 of them and listen to them back to back. And they're all those mixes are going to sound different. Some you're going to like better than others. Some you're going to say, I can't hear the snare. I don't know why the snare, how did that engineer mix the snare so low? And then other ones you're going to say, wow, that snare sounds perfect.
Yep.
There is no right or wrong. There's all guidelines. And once you get to the level that a lot of you guys in the chat are at, because I recognize so many of you and I've heard a lot of your mixes. When you get to the level where you can do a good mix, now it's like, okay, going from a good mix to a great mix, it's only maybe 20%, 70% of the battle is get good. Most of you, from what I've heard, are all good. And some of you are great, but it's, it's all a matter, you're splitting hairs once you get up above that. We can all mix something, good. I can mix a song. Johnny can mix a song. Johnny Guy can mix a song. Would-be's can mix a song. And you could give that to 100 people and you would not get a unanimous decision on whose mix was better. You just wouldn't.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely right. Which reminds me actually of the song that you and Johnny did a couple of years ago, that Fences song, and you both mixed the same song.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, and Johnny did it using just the native plugins, and you used what you use, and both mixes were great mixes.
They're just different sounding, and some would like one and some would like the other. Yeah, we got lots of comments about those. People really enjoyed that series. Yes. And there was about, half the people said they liked Johnny's better. Half the people, they said they liked mine better. It was just a matter of, okay. No, but no one said that any one of the mixes were terrible. Someone would say, yeah, I like the way he did that better. I like the way you did this better. It's okay. And in the end, it's whoever, if you're working with a client, what do they think? It's not your mix, it's the client's mix.
Exactly.
Right. So if the client,
for me, today is case in point because, mixing that particular song and the vocal, and by the end of it, I tell you, I got to deadline time and I was just like, yeah, I'm still not 100% happy with this, but I'm going to send it to the client anyway. Because they get 3 revisions with me. Yeah. So this was revision 1 that I was sending out. And she's like, yeah, I'm not 100% happy, but that's okay. I've got 2 more in the bag. It'll be fine. So he sent me an email back about an hour later and he said, yeah, that's spot on. Thank you. Great job. I was just like, yeah, but the vocal, I'm not happy with the vocal. I'm really not happy with it.
The customer's always right. And if that's what they want, that's what you give them. You get them in the ballpark. I don't think I've ever, I shouldn't say I've never, but I don't know that I can't remember a time where I've sent the mix, the first one through and it went perfect. We're done. There's always, could be very minimal, could be a laundry list of tweaks, but I've never sent a mix out to someone that I can remember. They went, we're done. Don't touch a thing.
Yeah.
That's never happened.
No.
It's always, can you move this, tweak this? How about this? And it's just little things, we get there where they go, well, that's really sounds good. And then a lot of it has to do what system are they listening to it on? What's their stereo system like? How many, what volume are they listening to? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different variables in all of this that you're not going to get it to sound perfect on all systems. You're not going to get it, it's just not going to happen. So that's all par for the course. That's part of it. And at the end of the day, when you're doing this with clients, it's all about making them happy. Give them what they want. Our job is to give them in the ballpark and go, you want to compete with a commercial release. Here's what we think it ought to sound like. And then it's usually, like you said, 85, 90% there. And then the rest of it, what would they want? They want the vocal louder. It's too loud. They like it too loud. Okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's see. Stratcat says, are we chatting about your new website? Oh, you mean learningtomix.com? Yeah, we're chatting about a whole bunch of things, but learningtomix.com is another website that I'm involved in. It's a mixing training website, if you haven't checked it out. Tony Graham says, Dave, I got the stems for the song I'm All Right from one of your sales. All the stems seemed gain staged. Every track was at a negative 12 dB. Okay, yep. Just wondering if you gain stage the stems for. Yeah, I tried. Yes, it isn't always a negative 12 dB on the nose. I'm kind of surprised it's right at a negative 12 dB. That's pretty good. That was probably by accident. But yeah, because 90% of the steps that I get is too hot.
Yes.
Almost all of it is.
Yeah.
And I'm always bringing it down 6 dB-ish, 8 dB-ish, 10 dB-ish to get you right around a negative 10, negative 12. So if you're putting in the files from one of my products and it's coming up around a negative 12, that means I gain staged it. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Just so I don't give you something that's too hot. But I try to make sure that I do that. I know with Learning to Mix, I do that. I prep all the stems for Learning to Mix. So I will get them from you guys or wherever we get the track from, and I'll bring it into Studio One, and it's almost always too hot. Not clipping like dangerously, but it's hot. It's right near zero on a raw file. And so I will always bring them down and then start. And then when I bring them down, I export stems in Studio One. So you guys are getting a file that's going to be a lot more reserved. So you don't have to deal with it. Let's see. Chuckster says, I got to mix a song I recorded and enjoyed it. But listening to it for years, I heard things I didn't like. So 1 year into mixing, and I mixed it, and I was happy with it. Oh, so you had a song that you recorded and mixed, and you've been listening to it for years, and now you went back and remixed it? Is that what you meant? And now you're happy with it? That's awesome.
Kind of like, yeah, that's cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, then that means that whatever, all the stuff that you're taking, all the investment in time and training that you're making, is working. And it is too. I'll tell you, I got 2 emails. I get emails from you guys all the time. It happens at least a couple of times a week. Somebody will write me and say they took a thing or they took a course or they watched one of your videos, whatever, and they're saying that they made a breakthrough and someone heard one of their most recent mixes and they were so happy with it and they just wrote to say thanks. Well, you're welcome. That's good. I'm glad you got your money's worth, because that's the whole point.
Yep.
It happens all the time. All the time. It's so it makes all this worth it, right? Because this takes, as we were laughing about creating another YouTube channel, this takes an enormous amount of time to do, to do all this stuff that we're doing. And if it wasn't helping people, I wouldn't be doing it. So that's awesome.
Likewise, it really does. It really does take up a lot of time. I mean, you've got a much faster machine than I have. So, rendering videos probably takes a lot less time than mine does.
Yeah, they're pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, mine, like if I shoot a 20-minute video, it'll take 45 minutes probably to render.
Yeah, that's the problem with video, man. It just takes especially like 1080p or anything like high quality video. It takes a long time. It's a pain. It's
just like I have to walk away and leave the computer because, because I don't have a whole lot of RAM and I don't have, it's an i5 with 8 gigs of RAM. So, it's like the CPU slams up to about 90 and stays there for pretty much the whole 45 minutes.
Yeah. And that's a great machine for audio. It's but when you bought it for audio and then you start getting into video and you go, oops, which is exactly why when I bought my Mac in 2013, I used to have the old Mac Tower from like 2008. And it was just a quad core, I think, with 16 gigs of RAM. And for audio, no problems. Studio One ran beautifully. I had that machine for 8-9 years. It ran like a champ. The only reason why I bought a new computer was because of the video. because I tried to render video and do YouTube videos, and it, like you said, it would be a 20-minute video, then it would take 45 minutes to render, and it was just like I couldn't put the product out quick. I didn't have enough time to get the product out. I couldn't sit around, so I bought a new computer really for video.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am actually thinking about you know, kind of upgrading the processor and the RAM next year. That's definitely something I'm thinking about, going to an i7.
Yeah,
and
for video.
Yeah, going up to 32 gigs of RAM.
And then you'll be set. Yep.
Yeah, and then it'll be a lot quicker. Would be.
Stratcat says, if this is not the place to ask. Oh, no, Stratcat, we could talk about anything you want. Don't worry. Robert says, I thought gain staging was part of learning to mix. Well, yes and no. Well, yes, it's part of learning to mix. Very good point. If you, in the bonus section of learningtomix.com, there is 2 videos, one by Pete, one by myself, called Mix Prep. And in that video, we show you how to gain stage. I don't gain stage every single month and show it over and over again, really just because the videos are already 6 hours long. You know, so I try to, you know, once I've showed it to you guys once or twice, it's the same process every single time. But you're right in meaning that it is part of the process of understanding gain staging. But if anyone watched the mix prep video, you'll see the whole process and how you do it. It's not really I mean, it's really kind of simple. It's not that big of a process usually, you know. It's not like some people take gain staging and they make it like a science project. And for me, it's not that. It's like, look, do all the tracks sum up to the master bus anything above a -10? Yes. Okay, then I go back and look and see, are drums much louder than our bass or our vocals? And I just move faders and I just kind of balance them out. And if I find that I got to move the fader way down the scale or way up the scale, then I'll usually go to clip gain or use the mix tool and I'll adjust it from there to try to keep the fader somewhere in the middle of the channel, because you get you get a little bit more accuracy that way. And that's all I do. It's not like I don't sit down and try to hit an exact number on a meter. I just know at the end of a mix, I want to be somewhere around a -6, -5, -7 to bring to mastering. And I know that I'm going to put about 6 dB of volume between the start of the mix and the end of the mix, typically. Yep. And it's just it's real close. So yeah, so Robert, you're absolutely right. But that's kind of, it is in there. It's in the mix prep video. Stratcat says, I edit 4K and it's a costly thing. Oh, I can't even imagine 4K video. Yeah. That's, you know, 4K is really cool, man, but you got to have high power machines to deal with 4K video.
They are just way out of my budget right now. In fact, even wanting to upgrade my to an i7 and everything else it's out of my budget right now.
Yeah. Tony says, your videos are great, David. If it wasn't for you guys, I'd still be in the dark. Well, hey, man, I'm glad, Tony. Thank you so much. I'm glad the videos are helping, and I appreciate your support. Man, Johnny Lipsham, you need a new computer and a plane ticket to get to Chicago. We need to. I need to get to get busy, man. Oh, okay. He wants you to go to Chicago, and you need a new computer.
My sister stays in Chicago, and I've not been back for 11 years.
Oh, do you have plans to go back anytime in the near future, or no?
I would like to. It's being able to afford to. That's the question.
Well, that's right. That's always the question, right?
I mean, that would put us in the same country, and it'd be great if we could, me, yourself, and Johnny could get together and actually do something.
Well, Johnny's in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go to Chicago to see you guys for sure.
Awesome.
I would, absolutely would. Let's see.
Get funds for a plane ticket out then.
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost, but we should try to do something. We should try to do that at one point. That would be a lot of fun.
It'd be really cool to have the three of us do a live stream together in the same.
Yeah, in Johnny's studio, because he's got it all set up and he's got all he's the technical guru. He'll figure that out and get us all. We should do that. Yeah, because your sister Chicago's not that big of a city, so you and your sister and Johnny probably aren't that far away from each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they're probably only about 30 minutes in the
Yeah.
car away, I should think.
And I'm probably an hour and a half plane ride at most. So I'm not very
Yep.
far from him. Let's see. Robert says, out of habit, I put all my faders all the way down automatically to start my mixing. Oh, okay. I see. And you just bring them up one at a time. Well, then in a way, Robert, you're kind of gain staging. I
Yes.
mean, you just don't call it that in your head. But yeah, that's fine. And then he says he brings up his faders to where the meters read negative 12 dB. That's gain staging. You're doing it.
Yep.
You're doing it.
That's yep.
Woodby says, donate to Johnny Lipsham. That's right. Donate some money, get Johnny on a plane. And if you could get Johnny out to Chicago, I would, well, Johnny Geib's not here to speak for himself, but I think we could speak for him when I can say that we would, if Johnny could get to Chicago to see his sister, we would absolutely get together at Johnny's studio and somehow record a bunch of content and do a live stream. I can't imagine that you'd come all the way to the United States and we wouldn't do that. And Tony says he wants to come. Okay. I'm sure Johnny has a big enough place. We're inviting ourselves over to Johnny's house. Johnny's not here to defend himself. Sorry, John.
Miles has just had a great idea. He says, everyone send in your frequent flyer miles.
Yep. All right, what's a plane ticket out to States? What would you gather in dollars? What would it be?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'd need to look. I'd need to look at how much the entire trip would cost, because I'd have to be there for probably at least a week.
Would you stay with your sister?
I'd either stay with her or I'd stay with Johnny. One or the other.
Okay, so you don't have to stay at a hotel.
Or I'd split my time. Yeah, I would want to avoid a hotel.
Right.
So it'd be plane and spending money, basically, because I'm sure we'd want to go out and eat somewhere in Chicago and
yeah. Yeah, you have to figure out the cost, and we'll have to put together a funding campaign, and see if we can get some of our faithful followers to contribute to part of it. See if we can make it happen. We might be able to.
Loins wants to come as well.
Okay. Well, we got to run all this by Johnny, because Johnny's, I don't know, John. You know, we got to make sure Johnny's okay with 40 people coming to his pad, and I'm sure he would be, though. If I know Johnny, and believe me, he would be down for whatever. He's a good guy like that. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Truckster says 1,100 return. That's interesting. That'd be for the ticket alone. 1,100 return. So yeah, we're probably talking about a cool couple of grand.
Couple of grand, yeah. Let's see. Dale L. Hey, Dale, how are you? Does anyone know of anything better or cheaper than Mix Checker by Audify? No, my Mix Checker's pretty good. I use that from time to time, and I think it's a good plugin. I don't know that checks the different listening environments. I'm sure there's other ones out on the market, but that one I think is pretty good. At least
I'd be surprised if there's nothing else on the market. I'd be very surprised, because otherwise they've completely, spotted a hole in the market there.
Yeah, there must be other companies that make something similar.
Aye.
Let's see. Yeah. People want to know if there's going to be food served at Johnny's place when everyone comes over.
Johnny will come, sure.
Yeah, Johnny will order pizza or something. I'm sure we could. It would be fun to do that.
Yeah, it would. It'd be great to get the three of us in a room together and do some crazy fun stuff.
Yeah. Stratcat wants to know, question on learning to mix website. Do you primarily use Studio One in your tutorials? Yes. But it's not a Studio One mixing site. It's not a learning to use Studio One site. It's learning to mix. And the concepts and the techniques and the stuff that we use could be used in any DAW with any set of plugins. And every month we use a different set of plugins. Pete uses something different from me. Sometimes we talk about it. Most times we don't. We don't know what each other's going to do. And I, for myself, try to mix differently every single time, different ways. Sometimes I'll do top-down mixing. Sometimes I'll mix the vocal first. Sometimes we'll just to do things differently, to show you different ways of working. The DAW is really irrelevant. It really, truly is.
Correct.
And the only reason why we use Studio One is because I use Studio One and I have every DAW. And when we polled our membership group, 85% of the people use Studio One, so that's why we use it. However, if there was a demand for us to use Logic on a month or Pro Tools on a month, we could do it, and we would do it if that's what the membership wanted. But we really try to teach it in a way where it takes the DAW completely out of it. And because we cycle through the plugins so differently, it almost doesn't matter what plugins you have.
Yes.
You know, some things, yeah, there's not a one-to-one equivalent, but most things are. And so we really try to make it as universal as we possibly can. So, yeah.
Your reaction to Pro Tools then was hysterical.
Yeah. I would do it though. And Pete said he would do it too. I mean, if we do have about 5 or 10 people in our community to use Pro Tools. I know that for a fact. And they haven't asked us to do a mix in Pro Tools. But if we had 30% of the community was using Pro Tools, would we do a mix 1 month in Pro Tools? Yeah, we would. I might even do because we get this kind of question a lot. There's going to be a month coming up soon where I'm going to do a mix in Logic, only because I want to show you that it doesn't matter what DAW you use. And I haven't done a mix in Logic in a long, long time, and I'm going to fumble through that, and you're going to watch me fumble through it. But that's okay. I mean, we try to change it up so much, so it's you'll know that it's really a mixing concepts and techniques training. It's not the DAW, it's not the plugin. So yeah. But if we had to do Pro Tools, I would gladly do it for you. Let's see.
You want money, right?
Yeah. I want you. Got to pay the membership up front. I got to get your money up front if you're gonna make me use Pro Tools, right?
Damage, hazardous duty pay.
Right. Let's see. Woodbeast says, "Oh, hey, would you guys do a live jam?" What do you mean? Oh, if we got together, the 3 of us? Sure.
Yeah,
why not?
totally.
Why wouldn't we? Between the 3 of us, I think we could play enough instruments so we could do a live something. It may not. We don't know what it would sound like, but it would be fun. And we would probably do it as in the live stream. That's when we would do it. Johnny's got drum kits and guitars, and he's got all kinds of stuff in his studio. I'm sure we could make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we could probably just like write a song on the spot or something.
Yeah,
and
of course we
record
could.
it.
Why not?
That'd be hilarious.
It would be. It would be like a 6-hour marathon, but it would be fun. It would be something different, right?
Yeah, totally. And it'd be hilarious. It'd be great fun. And you and I could do the vocals, Dave, and you and Johnny could do the guitars. And because I don't play guitar, except I play weird sort of Alan Holdsworth style chords on the guitar, but that's all I play. And I play piano and bass and a little bit of drums. So
yeah,
Woodbeast is making reference to a joke song I made reference to on one of Johnny's streams.
Tony says he wants to see me do a mix in GarageBand. I have GarageBand. I haven't used GarageBand. That would be tough. I'd have to practice before I hit record. That would be a 12-hour video. If I did it in GarageBand, I'd have to fumble my way through it. But I could do it. I have GarageBand. It comes with a Mac. If you're a Mac user, you know that. Yeah. So yeah.
Comes with a reasonable little bundle of plugins as well, actually.
It does. GarageBand is not a bad DAW. It really isn't. It really is. It really isn't.
It's like Logic 3, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It really, yeah. You can make music with GarageBand. Many people do. Does it have some limitations? Yeah, it does. But the bulk of it is there. I mean, the bulk of what you need is definitely there.
A friend of mine, a great songwriter called Jeremy Casella, made a whole record on GarageBand.
I believe it. I believe it.
It's really, 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 really good.
Yeah, it's not about the DAW. Woodby says, is it like Band in a Box? No. Oh, you mean GarageBand? No, it's
No,
it's not like Band in a Box.
No.
GarageBand is a DAW. I mean, it is. I mean, it's a little bit of it's a DAW light, maybe, but it's still a DAW, and it's got everything you would need to do mixing. Some of their plugins are really good. I don't know can you use third-party plugins in GarageBand? I don't remember.
Not that I know of.
Maybe you can't. But I mean, they give you all the... It's like having Studio One Artist, if you wanted to compare it, where you have to use the stock plugins, and there's some limitations there. But you could certainly mix a record with it, and you can certainly record with it. Yeah,
and you can use MIDI with it. It's got a whole library of loops and all sorts.
Tony says, yes, you can. Maybe you can use third-party plugins with GarageBand. It's been such a long time since I've used it. I don't remember. But maybe you can. Yeah, that's really
You
cool.
go.
Does it support MIDI? I don't know, Stratcat. Tony, does it support MIDI?
It does.
It must, right? How could it not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah, I did something for the Indian government using GarageBand and had
Use
and used
MIDI?
MIDI.
Yeah. Then the answer is yes, it does. Really cool. So we're
Okay,
running.
so what is Band in a Box? Band in a Box
Oh,
is made by people called PG Music, and basically it is literally like having a rhythm section
yeah.
in a box, and you give the rhythm section a style of music to play, a bunch of chord changes, and it comes up with a great backing track. I use it. I have it on my computer. I use it for practice. Like, if I'm practicing bass parts, I'll put in a bunch of chord changes and give it a style, and I'll practice my bass to it. Or if I'm doing improvisation practice, which I do a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
I challenge myself. I give myself the most convoluted, most ridiculous set of chord changes in the weirdest key possible, and set it in a style that I'm unfamiliar with, and off I go.
There you go.
Like,
And you could just program the Band in a Box, and it just plays back.
yeah, you just say, bossa nova in B, and with a middle section in A flat, and off you go.
Wow. I've seen it. I've never used it.
Stratcat says, can it play Alan Holdsworth chords though? There is like a little chord shape thing for guitar. There's like chord boxes for guitar that you can put in certain chord boxes. So if you know the chord shapes that he used, I don't see why you couldn't.
How is the sounds though? Like how are does the sounds of the instruments? Do they sound good, or they sound kind of cheesy, or how do they sound?
No, the samples.
Oh, okay, so they do sound good. They sound
Yeah,
like a,
they I forget they have a band, essentially, literally a real band.
mm-hmm.
They go into the studio and they spend like a week in the studio cutting every possible chord change in every conceivable style of music, every
Wow.
conceivable tempo.
Cool.
And you end up with a whole bunch of loops. And yes, if you're hunting for a saxophone solo for a record and you can't afford to hire a saxophone player, you might just find a loop of a saxophone solo or a string of saxophone solos off of Band in the Box, and you just convert them to WAV, get them into your DAW, and there you go. You've got a sax player.
That's awesome. Let's see. John, would you consider doing a video on how to play piano to go along with your programming drums video?
Ooh, piano made easy.
It's a good idea, Dale.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh, really. Yeah, I could do something like that. We could talk about that, Dave.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Piano made easy, piano jazz made easy, popular piano made easy.
We'll put that on the list of things to talk about, Dale. Not a bad suggestion.
Yeah, we've got a few, haven't we now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tony says GarageBand is audio units plugins only. That's right. So's Logic. Or no, Logic, I think you could do either one. I don't remember. But yeah, not VST. You can use GarageBand plugins in Studio One. Right. Right. Yeah, he's right about that. Stratcat says, I have a question about Studio One. Do you see them incorporating a video export in the near future? Any rumors about this maybe? Video. Can you do video in Studio One?
You kind of, sort of can. They for version 3.5 they updated the codec for video. It's no longer QuickTime. It's I think it's their own particular codec. So it doesn't support QuickTime anymore. Currently no export, but it is a pretty hot feature request over at answers.presonus.com. Go vote it up if you are a registered Presonus user. If it's just hardware, if you have a Presonus interface and you're registered, get over to answers.presonus.com, find that in the feature request and vote it up.
There you go.
The developers of Studio One, that's where they get the features from for every version. They get it from there.
Yeah, Rick mentioned that last time we talked to him on one of our live streams. Let's see. Larry says, going back to the piano thing, keyboards or as they relate as controllers for DAW. So I think you're saying keyboard controllers, MIDI controllers. We did MIDI drums made easy, but what
Yeah.
about something like MIDI made easy, where we're not just talking about drums, but where you incorporate the controllers, how they work, how you hook them up, different types of controllers, things like that, Larry? Is that what you mean? And how they kind of relate to the DAW? That might be something that's interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Because I'm very old school when it comes to MIDI. Mostly because I have a very old school keyboard. This is my MIDI controller up here. It's the Yamaha QS300. This is the first generation one, which I got fresh out of the Yamaha factory in 1995, I think it was. It still works, even though it's nearly been run over by a van. It still works. But it has like the old original MIDI via 5-pin DIN plug. And it's a little bit simple. At the moment with this keyboard, I cannot change patches via CC messages. I can't do that at the moment. I need to figure out a way to be able to get sysx messages to send to and from Studio One with this particular keyboard. And I don't think I can because I think it's too elderly to do it. But there are, if you've got something like an Akai keyboard or one of them, the newer from the last 15 years.
They're pretty much plug and play.
You probably can. Certainly I know in other DAWs like Sonar, Sonar has had MIDI for so long. MIDI is so fully and deeply integrated into that DAW that it can pretty much do anything with controlling different parameters. Whereas Studio One, kind of like at the start, at Studio One version 1.0, they kind of made an executive decision to not use the regular MIDI protocol that everybody else was using. They would have their own carrier path for the MIDI protocol, which is what they've had since version 1.0. So they don't use MIDI as you think about it, as you know it. They use their own carrier for MIDI. So it behaves the same. It does essentially the same things, but the protocol is different. And that's where some of the issues are for Sonar users right now. But I strongly suspect that because of the collapse of Sonar, in terms of support and it's being discontinued and everything else, I strongly suspect that the developer team at Presonus Software in Hamburg, I strongly suspect that they are looking at MIDI again with kind of fresh eyes and a bit of a fresh mind about, hey, how can we do this? Stratcat says, I got an inexpensive keyboard controller and it works perfectly in Studio One. I had the same controller for Sonar Platinum, but had a few issues. Yeah, some controller keyboards work better in other DAWs than others. This one was rubbish in Cubase. It was awful. Yeah, and I was a Cubase user for 25 years. And this keyboard in particular was just... I couldn't get it to do... Yeah, I couldn't really get it to do very much, apart from MIDI, doing drums. I couldn't do horn section stuff. I couldn't mock up horn charts at all.
Right.
But in one, I can happily mock up horn section charts to my heart's content. And then, of course, with the interoperability with Notion, I can print those up very, very quickly for real horn players.
Cool. Well, we're on here about 2 hours, 15 minutes. Probably getting time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think probably. It's
so,
1:15
right?
in the morning here.
So, yeah, everyone, thank you again for hanging out with us. Our 2017 year-end live stream. A lot of great conversation. This will be up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. If you came in late, you want to go back and rewatch it from the beginning. We'll see you guys not until next year. Next week, I know I'm off, and we'll get back to it in 2018. A lot of stuff, a lot of things coming. Check out all the websites. Go to Johnny's YouTube channel, Johnny's website, my YouTube channel. Well, you're on my YouTube channel. My website, right? learningtomix.com. Go check out all that stuff. We're going to continue to move forward and continue to bring you guys more stuff. And again, thanks for everybody's support through 2017. It means a lot to all of us. And I know I can speak for Johnny when I say we appreciate it. And if you guys weren't, digging what we're doing, we wouldn't be doing it. So we're doing it because you guys really seem to like it and we have fun putting it together for you. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I stopped being a high school music teacher to do this. So.
Right. Right.
Nutcase that I am.
So,
but yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Well, we will see you guys in 2018. Have a happy and safe holidays. Be safe. Enjoy your family. And we'll work together again next year. So we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Cheers, folks.